Welcome to Medical Minutes here on Time Warner Cable DMG TV2. The next half hour we will spend talking with the ADAMHS Board, the Community Mental Health Care Services, and Family and Children's First Council. We have several topics to cover, all dealing with holiday stress, with drug addictions, and the more serious situation of suicide. All coming up on Medical Minutes.
Hi, I'm Elaine Miller with Naturally Green Cleaning Service. My company serves both commercial and residential clients. We do general cleaning, spring and fall, empty homes to get them move-in ready, and final cleans for new construction. We use eco-friendly cleaning products that leave your home or office fresh, clean, and safe for you, your family, pets, or coworkers. Our focus at Naturally Green is to provide excellent customer service paired with outstanding work to build a relationship of trust with you, our clients. Having served the area 4+ years, we have had many referrals and testimonials that you can access on our website at www.naturallygreencs.com. Our work sells itself, therefore we have never had any contracts even with our largest commercial accounts. Call us today for your free quote and see what makes our company stand out.
Well, I woke up to the sound of silence and cars. We're cutting like knives in a fist fight. And I found you with a tear in your eye, your head in the curtains and heart like the 4th of July.
You swore and said, we are not shining stars. This I know. I never said we are. If you're lost and alone, or you're sinking like a stone, carry on. May your past be the sound of your feet upon the ground. Carry on. Carry on, carry on. We are shining stars. Carry on, carry on. We are who we
Welcome to Medical Minutes here on Time Warner DMG TV2. And this segment we are talking with Gwen Malquit. She is the Crisis Services Manager for Community Mental Health Care. She's starting us off on this very special Medical Minutes where we're talking about a lot of different things that affect you during the holidays. So Gwen, we're going to start with you because I want to talk about something called seasonal affective disorder. Is that just holiday stress?
Well, it can be easily confused with holiday stress. Holiday stress, I think, is something most of us experience around this time of the year. Seasonal affective disorder is holiday stress bumped up just a little bit. So we're talking about a level of severity. We're going to see much more of an impairment in functioning with seasonal affective disorder.
All right, tell me a little bit about Community Mental Health Care to start. What does that organization do?
Community Mental Health Care, we offer a full range of mental health and alcohol and addiction services. We also offer crisis intervention services, which is a 24-hour department, crisis intervention, and we have a 5-bed inpatient unit there as well. We also offer the area's 24-hour crisis hotline, psychiatric services, and most recently, we now have a medical clinic in the area as well.
And when you say crisis, what does that mean?
Crisis is self-defined, so a crisis can mean different things to different individuals, but a crisis might be an individual who is suicidal, who is experiencing an exacerbation in symptoms of depression, an individual who has had a pretty severe recent stressor.
And do you have to have a crisis to take advantage of your services?
Our 24-hour crisis hotline is really open to anybody. It's not just a crisis hotline. We get a lot of individuals that call the crisis line for information about themselves, maybe about a family member, about local resources, things of that nature.
All right, well, let's get back to our holiday stress. What are the different levels of severity?
Well, when we're looking at seasonal affective disorder, we're looking at symptoms that are going to be very similar to depression. It actually is a subtype of major depression. So we're looking at feelings of sadness most days, most all of the day. Now, when you look at that compared to the holiday blues or holiday stress, you might feel a day here or a day there where you feel overwhelmed, but we're not talking every day, most every day. We're talking feelings of lethargy, feelings of not being able to enjoy things you used to enjoy, feelings like you just can't get out of bed in the morning and go to work. Holiday stress shouldn't be that severe, and if it is, that's when you need to be concerned.
And why is it during the holidays we feel a little bit more depressed or more stressed?
I think we put a lot of the holiday stress on ourselves. I think we set our expectations for the holidays a little too high. We tend, I think, as a group, as a nation, tend to put more emphasis on what we're getting, what we're doing for other people, rather than just spending those quality moments together. You know, I honestly think that if you gave your children half the presents that you would anticipate giving them, and instead spend just a whole lot of fun time doing this, doing that, things that don't cost any money at all, 20 years from now, those are the things your kids are going to remember. I think we put too much pressure on ourselves to make it, more materialistic than it needs to be.
Always feel a little bit of pressure, to make sure that they have some activity every waking moment of the day. Well, should you just let your kids and your family just see what happens, right?
Yeah, let your family take the lead. Ask your kids, what do you want to do today? And something just as simple as singing a Christmas carol together. It doesn't need to be structured.
Even if it's really bad.
It can be terrible. Your kids won't care, trust me.
And so who decides whether you have seasonal affective disorder or you're just kind of blue?
Well, we always guard against self-diagnosing. We don't ever want people to do that. You can get yourself into a lot of trouble. If you think that what you're feeling is just a little more holiday stress than what you would anticipate feeling, talk to a doctor, talk to a professional, talk to a counselor, call the crisis line. We can give you some information and some resources. But I think the most important thing is let a professional make that diagnosis.
And other stresses really can come in year-round, not just during the holiday.
Absolutely. Stressors, they're never going away, but it's important to know who to reach out to when you're experiencing that.
And that can be any stage of your kids' lives or your life, or what are some examples, I guess, of people that contact you?
We have individuals that contact us because of divorce, children leaving the home, a child that maybe got in trouble at school, monetary issues, that's a big thing we get contacted about. Drug and alcohol problems, whether it's themselves or a family member, that's an increasing problem we're seeing in the area. A whole array of things.
And you have the solutions for all of them?
We don't have the solutions for everything, but we can always point people in a direction that'll make a difference.
And how long does that usually take? It's not going to happen overnight, is it?
No. A lot of people, you have to remember you didn't get to the situation you're in overnight, and it may not resolve itself overnight. But if you take that first step forward, that might be one less day you have to suffer with it.
And during the holidays, does community mental health care see more patients than usual?
We do. It's a pretty standard trend, I think, in the industry that we do see more individuals during stressful times of year. So.
All right, very good. It's been Gwen Malquit. She is the Crisis Services Manager at Community Mental Health Care, talking about seasonal affective disorder or holiday stress, but times 2.
Yeah, or 3, or 4.
Give CMH a call if you have any questions, and Gwen will be happy to talk to you, right?
Absolutely.
All right, thanks for joining us here on Medical Minutes. Coming up, we will talk about the CARI project at the ADAMHS Board. Stay tuned.
I think the hands-on aspect is going to give you an opportunity to explore, find out what you're good at, what you like, and you're not going to have mountains of debt. What you're going to have is a marketable skill that even if you don't love it, you can use that to pay to go on to college and get that degree. And we've got a number of students that do that. They're very mature. I think we're a great hands-on exploration base.
WJER and TV2 would like to introduce you to a new website, WJERTV2.com, where you can watch exciting high school football, soccer, and volleyball replays from TV2 Sports on your home computer, smartphone, or tablet. Also watch the latest episodes of TV2's original programming, Sports Talk, The Garden Girl, The Not So Shy Chef, Off the Record, and Medical Minutes, as well as catch up on local community news and search for local businesses. So make sure to check out the new WJERTV2.com community website where everything's local.
Welcome back to Medical Minutes here on Time Warner Cable DMG TV2. This segment, we're going to talk about a very special project that the Alcohol, Drug Addiction, and Mental Health Services Board has put together. And Community Services Manager Natalie Bolin is going to tell us all about the CARY project. How do you spell CARY and what does it stand for?
CARY is C-A-R-Y, and it stands for Connecting with At-Risk Youth.
And what does that mean?
Well, we got a call from a local school about 18 months ago now, and they were looking for support for a student who had been caught giving prescription drugs to another student. And when they had called some of the local agencies, the student was offered things like volunteering to pick up leaves or stuffing envelopes, and they really wanted to have something more impactful for the student. So they called the ADAMHS Board to ask if we had any ideas. Long story short, we work with a lot of parents who have a loved one who has an addiction, and their stories are compelling. Their stories and their loved one's stories are compelling. You can't help but be impacted. And so we connected this student with one of the parents who had a loved one with an addiction. She had actually lost her son to a drug overdose. And so she met with this parent one-on-one. It was an interview format. She asked questions. She wrote a report. And that was her consequence, part of her consequence at school for engaging in the drug behavior. Not only did she learn about addiction and what this parent went through, but she wrote a report at the end to summarize everything that she'd heard.
And did she learn anything?
It was really impressive. That was the first time that we had done the CARY project, but we've done it with many students since then. And listening and reading their responses, it's been more impactful, I think, than we had even hoped when we started out.
And are they all similar? You're giving me the impression that these kids are just starting to maybe experiment with drugs. Have they gone further? What levels of drug activity do you address?
It's been interesting. Most of the kids have been 14 to 16. Most of the kids have been caught using marijuana. I would have expected more alcohol, but it's actually been more marijuana. So what they're coming to us with has been pretty similar.
And then what do the adults do?
We have a small handful of parents who have a loved one with an addiction. Some of them have lost their child to addiction. Some of them have children in recovery, and some of them have children who are still addicted. And giving them the opportunity to A, tell their story, but B, hopefully be impactful to basically a version of their child in a younger age has been something that they have been so proud to participate in and so passionate to participate in. They have really grasped this and run with the CARY project full force. I kind of just stand back and do my organizing component. They are the ones that make this successful.
That must be so difficult to talk to a stranger, really, and say, this happened to my child, and I don't want it to happen to you. And the child could say, it's not going to happen to me. It's always someone else.
I think it's difficult in both sides. The kids, when we get our feedback forms, the kids say, I almost didn't show up. I was going to cancel at the last minute. I was so nervous they were going to think that I was an addict or a bad person. And the parents, I think, are originally a little hesitant to tell their painful stories as well, which is why we ask the students to submit 10 questions prior to sitting down with a CARY parent. That way the parent has a chance to kind of think through what they want to say and the message they really want to hit based on the child's needs. But also the child, the CARY student has the chance to think through, what do I really want to take from this before they sit down? So letting everybody do some pre-work before they sit down has led to it being a very positive and I think less stressful experience. And the feedback forms that we get at the end from the students again say, even though I was so hesitant to participate, I'm so glad that I did.
And so how many kids have we touched with the Carry Project?
Right now we're at 12, and we're continuing to offer this to any student, any high school student throughout Tuscarawas County. There is a program description, referral sheet, summary from some of our Carry parents on our website. And that is www.adamhtc.org.
And when we find all this information, it sounds like a lot. You have to get ready. But once they sit down and they're just talking, do they connect?
The connections have been tremendous as well. Boys just approach conversations differently than girls, and so one of the dads, our Carry dads, would work a lot on goal setting with the boys because they weren't really touchy-feely and expressive. But either way, having someone either share their story with you or help you become future-focused has been a really positive experience.
And this is all voluntary, right?
Voluntary, no charge. They've met at libraries and private rooms to have their conversations. We just ask that parents or schools that identify a need make the referral, and we'll connect from there.
Have there been any referrals from the courts?
You know, we continue to work with the courts to try to identify appropriate kids, and as appropriate, they will come.
All right, and how long do you want to continue doing this?
As long as we continue getting referrals, I know the parents and I will both be there to make the connection.
This helps the parents a little bit too deal with their own child's problems.
Well, and nobody wants to admit that their child could be developing an addiction. What a scary thing to consider. But the earlier you can identify it in your child and the earlier you can give them some tools, some awareness, some education, nobody thinks they're going to become an addict when they're 14 and smoking, marijuana for the first time. Nobody thinks that's how their journey is going to start. But for pretty much every one of these Carry kids who have an addiction, who've had an overdose, that's where it started. And so if we can just kind of increase that awareness for the kids, our hope is that they will not take that same path.
All right, sounds like a successful program of the Carry Project, connecting at-risk youth. We've been talking with Natalie Boland. She is the Community Services Manager here at the ADAMHS Board. When Medical Minutes continues, we also talk about the ultimate suicide and how to prevent it and what you can do about it. And we'll be talking with Rindy when we come back right after this.
Searching for quality bottled water? Call Crystal Springs Water Company. Crystal Springs Water is a family-owned and operated company that's been proudly serving the community since 1986. Crystal Springs offers a quality bottled water in a variety of sizes to suit your everyday needs. They also carry a selection of water coolers, cups, bottle racks, hydro pumps, and premium water softening salts. All available for pickup or delivery. Call Crystal Springs Water Company today.
Hi, I'm TV2 Sports Talk's Bill Morgan. Some people are outstanding at playing sports, and then there's me. While we at TV2 Sports Talk may have never been All-State on the field, we are Tuscarawas County's MVP when it comes to local television sports talk and play-by-play. Catch TV2 Sports Talk Wednesday nights at 7 and Friday afternoons at 5 on DMG Channel 2.
Welcome back to Medical Minutes here on DMG TV2. This time around, we are talking about a very serious topic, suicide. With us is Rindy Brace. She is the service coordinator for the Family and Children's First Council. Rindy, welcome to the show, and tell us a little bit about Family and Children First Council to start with.
Family and Children First Council is a mandated service through the state. All counties have one. And what we do is work with families who have multi-systems needs children who, with a goal of helping them be more successful in the community, stay in the community, not get charges filed on them with juvenile court, and not have to leave their own home and go to a residential treatment program.
So when you're talking troubled youth, it could be a variety of problems.
Yes. I work with anywhere from 40 to 80 families a year, and none of them are exactly the same. So,
And how do you work with them? Do you go to their homes? Do they come to you?
I do a combination. It's whatever works best for the family. Sometimes they come into the agency. Sometimes I go to the home. Sometimes we meet in the school or somewhere in the community. It just varies depending on the children and their issues and the families and agencies that are involved.
And are these families also referred to you?
Yes, usually referrals come through some of the other service agencies within the county, but parents also make direct referrals and call in and request assistance.
And what do you do when you meet with them?
I do an assessment to look at all of the areas with a goal of identifying any resources that our communities have locally or in surrounding communities that might support the families.
Services like?
We use a variety of professional services and what I call soft services, which are things that interest the child. I've had kids take guitar lessons, art lessons, horseback riding, go to a specialized camp. It's different for every child because it's based on what motivates them to change their behaviors.
Rather than come sit down, talk to a doctor in some office where they're uncomfortable.
Exactly. And, you know, the solutions the kids come up with oftentimes are not the solutions that we as adults or professionals would come up with. So
they surprise you a little bit.
Yeah, they can be pretty creative.
What's the most surprising thing you've come across recently?
I guess my best one is the little guy who was having lots of problems, and his solution was for someone to build Legos with him for 15 minutes once a week. And he really turned his behaviors around for building Legos once a week for 15 minutes. I wouldn't have come up with that solution, and I don't think anybody else on his team would have.
And that's all it takes?
Yep, that's all it took.
But some people take a little bit more.
Yeah, some people take a little more, and occasionally we do need to do some other things with the youth. But for the most part, we try very hard to provide them the supports they need locally and keep them in our community.
Now, does it ever get so bad that they think, you know, the only answer is for me not to be here? I'm going to commit suicide.
Most of our youth, no. We do have some kids who are suicidal, but most of the time they're involved with the services, and interventions are put in place to keep them safe.
Now, during the holidays, might be a little more stressful. Maybe not kids, maybe older teenagers, parents. Do they have thoughts of suicide?
Yes, but actually, springtime is a higher time for suicides than the holidays are.
Why is that?
Because in the spring, we're looking at the weather is starting to be better and renew, and a lot of these people are feeling hopeless, and so that renewal makes them feel even worse than they have before.
So if you're that depressed, what should you do?
Well, we would hope that they would be reaching out to professionals and to others, and we would hope that those who interact with those people would recognize some of the signs, notice that it's gotten a little worse, and that they would help that individual reach out to professionals who can help them with counseling, medication, and interventions.
Yeah, so people around you, if you notice something, you might not want to say something. You might feel, I'm overstepping.
True, but it is very important that you do say something and that you not be afraid to ask, are they thinking about suicide? And if so, do they have a plan? And based on that, to help them make those contacts and maybe even be there with them as they go through the initial stages, because sometimes even that's overwhelming for them.
But either way, it would get them to stop thinking about it or at least prevent it.
Yes, prevention is very difficult because we know that oftentimes they've made up their minds, but intervention as much as possible and being there to support them, provide them, making sure that if they give you a plan that you've gotten rid of all the guns, knives, pills, whatever they might have said they might use in their plan to safeguard them and to be with them and monitor them to help them out.
And I imagine social media plays a role here.
Yes, somewhat.
Or you would see something that your friends are saying on social media. Do you intervene then?
Hopefully parents get notified or people get notified. Or if you see something that one of your friends is talking about those things, that you would intervene.
All right. Well, it's nice to know that it doesn't happen very often here, but we do have services available.
Yes. And Tuscarawas County, we have a team that responds, unfortunately, when that happens, or fortunately for families. And we've had a significant number of suicides in our communities over the last several years.
One is too many.
One is way too many.
All right, very good. Rindy Brace, she is with the Family and Children's First Council, talking to us about suicide, not only just during the holidays, but year-round, and you need to look for it and stop it, prevent it, and intervene. Rindy, thanks for being on Medical Minutes, and thanks for joining us.